Well, a very good morning to you. Thank you for staying with us on the AM show. And it's another beautiful opportunity to get up to speed on what exactly is going down in the newspapers. But I have a special introduction. The man, Joseph Akable.
Good morning, Ben.
Good morning. Good morning to you. It appears to be a part-to-part system. Yesterday we were here. Today we are back.
We are back again.
We're back on it. Okay, so quite a number of papers that we have this morning. I know for certain you'll be digging into the Daily Graphic, among others. But we have the Ghanaian Times Daily Guide, the Finder, the Daily Dispatch, the Ghanaian Publisher, the Daily Statesman, the Custodian, Charlie, the paper's Chow. Republic Press, Business and Financial Times, Inside Reports, you don't see this often, and then the Daily Searchlight, that also doesn't come out often. But let's start with the Daily Graphic. What do the headlines say?
The front page of the Daily Graphic, Council of State takes office, President asks for honest, truthful advice. And say no to homosexuality is the banner headline. Christian Muslim clergy declare teachers, traditional leaders angry. Also on the front page. Minority demands clarity on public enterprises ministry, and COVID-19 vaccine arrives today. So also another story on the front page of the Daily Graphic. The back page has this story about filth returns to Accra markets. Quite interesting timing for this story. Less than 24 hours after we have been told that the goal of making Accra the cleanest city is on course.
Is on course.
Yeah. So
how do you feel, though? I mean, if you had to equate any percentages to that, how would you put it? Because last year I heard the Minister Designate for Sanitation and Water Resources going on and on about, about 80% clean and all of that. Admittedly, in the period of the lockdown, Accra the capital was pretty clean, but we all know why that was. People were not coming out, hitting the streets. I loved Accra then.
Yeah.
I remember, driving to work in the morning, first of all, no traffic. Sometimes you set out very early and still, so no traffic and no congestion. And the streets were so clean. But look at us now. Back to normal.
I always say that, the easiest way of knowing that the city is clean, like if you are asking the question, it means it's not clean actually. And I say that because I was in Kigali, I think about 2 years ago.
Right.
When you move through town and get into the hotel, like wherever you're going, no one will tell you that the city is clean, like you would see for yourself. And so anyone who has been to Kigali and comes back, everyone says that the place is clean. And so if you are asking that, is the city clean? Have you achieved that? It means that as a citizen going around, we are not impressed with what we are seeing around us. And we still have issues with collection of refuse. And we see in the Daily Graphic story, the back page story, you see it's there. The gutters are filled, are choked. You have refuse all over on the sides. This is what we see. And this is because we don't have an effective system that ensures that someone goes to pick this rubbish from the place. And that is why it's not clean.
This reminds me, some years back, the seat of government, the presidency itself, Jubilee House, some shots were taken. You see there's an officer's mess also around right next door. Yeah. So right behind the wall of the presidency, a huge pile of rubbish. And someone took the photos and we're talking about it and we're saying, you know what, this is how bad the situation is. Yeah. When Omampeni Ankasa, the father of the nation, has to, deal with a situation like this. I really don't know. And yesterday, the head of our health desk, Fred Smith, was sharing with me a story about being in this place in China. It's a touristic, center. To the point where they even scrub the streets every day. That's how clean the city is. There are certain cities that are known for cleanliness, and if some of them tell you what they do, or if you go and see, you'd be amazed. Why can't we do this?
A sense of responsibility. If you walk into the assembly here and you ask that who is responsible for cleaning this road in front of our office, they obviously cannot mention the name of an individual. And once no one is directly responsible for it, it means that things will be left to chance.
That's the other bit, responsibility.
Yeah.
No one wants to take responsibility for anything. Let's wrap up. Are you done with the Daily Graphic?
Yes, the Daily Graphic. I'm done with it.
All right. I have the Ghanaian Times. That's what I'm going to start with. Let's fight Galamsey corruption together. That's according to Mr. President. The last time I interviewed Darrow Bosu, Deputy National Director of Arusha, an environmental group, he did say that, yes, some of these groups had got wind of some dialogue that would be, brought forth. Maybe this is a step towards that because, Mr. President did indicate that there was going to be dialogue about the way forward for Galamsey. But it is clear that in the first 4 years, the fight, Galamsey and Operation Vanguard and the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, for me, at least from where I sit, it was a fiasco. We didn't achieve the sort of... People have been sending me shots of our water bodies. Akable, it's something else. I fear for the future in terms of water resources in this country.
Yeah, I mean, there was a story some months back about the fact that the Interministerial Committee had been dissolved, and
yes,
it's been moved now to Lands and Natural Resources just to handle it. And so that in itself tells you that from the government and the president has spoken about dialogue. This is the second time he's actually made a point about the need for dialogue about Galamsey. So we saw him earlier put his presidency on the line, and now he says, look, let's have...
Is it still on the line, his presidency?
I mean...
Because if it were on the line, I don't know.
He says we should have the discussion again. So certainly the strategy that we used initially, and he's talking about corruption, and that is a major issue because we've heard about the issues of excavators that couldn't be accounted for. Some of them couldn't be accounted for. We've heard of the military guys involved who say that there are times that people pay monies in order to ask them to release people who are arrested. These are officials who are in charge.
We've heard talk of the fact that they shouldn't be at these mining sites. That
you
remember the report Erastus Donko came out with, and some of what we saw. Yeah.
So it's a whole big problem, and I look forward to the vetting of someone Abu-Jinapo. I understand is supposed to be vetted today, incoming the Minister Designate for Lands and Natural Resources, about what his approach would be. I thought Mr. John Peter May was doing quite a fantastic job until he was moved to the Energy Ministry. I personally think that, I mean, that may have affected the fight a bit because he was, I mean, his legs were on the ground, the boots were on the ground, leading the charge and ensuring that we deal with it. But unfortunately, things went out of hand. Well,
John Peter May, who at the Energy Ministry, you know, it's, I think, sometime earlier this year when I really took a look at his CV that I realized that, okay, the man is actually...
Yeah, he's
a man of many things, but in terms of energy he's actually... But what do you think, though, now that you bring that up, Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh, Napo, I think, going to, you know...
I think generally, ministry. I mean, the context is that ministers are responsible for policy, so... I mean, obviously,
technical.
They don't have to be technical people at all. When you're a technical person, it's just a plus, but it's just about how you're able to work with the staff that you have. Those ministries are where we have the technocrats, people who have gone to school to study energy and all the other things that they need to learn about to help you. So it's all about how you're able to effectively work with them to get the best results. And I mean, if what he did at the Education Ministry, which for some reasons don't tend to want to credit him, which I disagree with personally, if he's able to replicate that kind of performance and is able to engage people appropriately, I think he should do fairly well there. But the energy is very important, and we just want to keep our lights on. But there are pressing issues, the PPAs that they cancelled, some resulted in judgment debts. Yeah. Obviously, others will now also take...
We have some hanging around our necks currently.
And so it's a whole sector that needs immediate attention. And I don't know whether he will even be approved by Parliament. We've not heard from the committee yet. And so once they are done with that, we'll know what's happening.
Maybe my counter will be, are any of the approvals in doubt? From Hawa Kumsin all the way to any others. Some have complained about Shirley Ayoko Botry, Foreign Affairs Minister Designate, the Communications and Digitalization, both the same thing, Minister Designate Ursula Owusu-Ekufo, among others. But question is, I mean, I'm sorry, is there going to be any... Maybe this would be the most bipartisan we've ever had in terms of an appointments committee and all of that. But honestly, is any of them going to be turned down? Because if I believe that they could do that, then I would have quite a number of names that I would say some have distinguished themselves, but some others. Well, let's check out the rest of the headlines. High Court restrains picketing at Jubilee House, Supreme Court EC Elikem Kotoko in the picture there. Mixed reactions greet COVID-19 vaccine. And that's as the first batch of Ghana's coronavirus disease vaccines is set to arrive in the country this week. A cross-section of Ghanaians have expressed mixed reactions about whether or not to take the vaccine. I said live on air yesterday that if I had the opportunity, I would take the jab. I mean, I know enough about what it's done, or at least the results that have been achieved from other parts of the world. Look, Israel has, vaccinated almost half of its population. It's the world leader right now. in terms of vaccinations. And yesterday I was watching part of the data right here on this platform. So yeah, I would take the jab. If you had the opportunity, would you take it?
I will. I mean, yeah. I'll create the opportunity and have it. I mean,
oh, you will create the opportunity
yes,
through fair means or foul?
Oh, fair means. I mean, obviously, fair means.
COVID-19 infection in Lagos may top Africa's total. That's according to a new study. And they are saying that millions, not thousands of Nigerians have been infected. And when I looked at that story, I just thought, Nagana, hey. Anyway, so on the back page, Liberty Eye Revenge Against Hearts. Let's blaze through the rest of the papers and dig into as many as we can.
The front page of the BNFT now, pandemic leaves economy cash strapped as payments eclipse revenue by 202%. Professor Korte urges government to invest in productive sectors. And vaccination drive requires active private sector participation. BOG measures to curb cyber fraud, boost customer confidence, also on the front page. And at the back page of the BNFT, WAPCO's role as reliable partner in cleaner energy supply boosted, also on the back page of the BNFT. I'll quickly go into the Daily Statesman front page. The Daily Statesman, be proactive partners in development. President charges Council of State members. And government's free water benefited 10 million people. Cecilia Dapar discloses.
Oh, sir.
Yes, okay. 10 million people. Inosa Fuseni, I have no interest in Mohammed's election petition. And canoe fishermen express confidence in Hawa Kumsin. It's on page 3. Yeah, I'm sure she should be delighted with this. So that is it for the Daily Statesman.
Let's just wrap up with the headlines then, and then I'll also come through. Then we dig into the stories.
Yes, so the publisher, quickly, the front page. Let's work to improve the lives of our people. Akufo-Addo tasked Council of State. Fishermen endorse Hawa Kumsin, and 10 million people benefited from free water initiative from Cecilia Dapar. The custodian, front page. Help me build prosperous Ghana. Akufo-Addo entreats Council of State. And we won't allow LGBTQI in Ghana. And fishermen back Hawa Kumsin, also on the front page of the custodian. And COVID-19 vaccines are safe. The final one for me will be the Republic newspaper that says Ghana goes gay as pressure piles on Akufo-Addo to speak on LGBTQI office. And Akufo-Addo swears in Council of State members and area on course, Accra, on course to become a cleanest city in Africa, sanitation minister designate.
That's a play on words there. Ghana goes gay.
Yes.
Going gay has its own, but
yes, I saw a
being
paper
used in a certain context.
Yes, I saw a paper from the 60s that had the same headline.
From the 60s?
Yeah, from the 60s, Ghana goes.
Obviously, that would be maybe because we had become a republic or something tied to that.
Exactly. But I mean, if you put the two papers side by side, they are communicating different things.
That's English for you. Done with your stack now?
Yes.
The Daily Guide, new Council of State takes office, and one of those prominent people that you would be seeing in there, Inokte Mensah, from way back, former member of parliament for Ningo Prampram. Sorry, Ayene begs Supreme Court, Galamsey fight yielding results. And Asiya Dunketia's testimony pops up on the back page. Speed up Baba Yara works, and Spurs have problems, not in crisis, Mourinho admits. Yesterday, I was watching him saying that he's happy, he's okay. This is just another phase, and that you need maturity to be able to overcome such hurdles, and he apparently has that maturity.
We wish him well.
We wish him well. You've put it very nicely. Pelé now relies on walking frame. I'm talking about the Brazilian legend. The Finder reviewed laws to criminalize same-sex relationships. That's according to the chief imam. COVID-19, Ghana to receive compensation for COVAX vaccine side effects. I should get into that story. Be proactive partners to help find solutions to Ghana's problems. President of Council of State members. And of course, first COVID-19 vaccines arrived today, some 300,000 plus. And we'll be bringing you the live action right here on the show. Let's get to the middle spread of the paper. This one says, eat local rice processors urge Ghanaians. And Baba jailed 10 years over sexual abuse. The Daily Dispatch now, Akoto joins Chamatin, Baumia, Ejapon, Gate, Apreku, and Ejako. What is he joining them for? Well, it appears some people are getting their guns ready to fire on all cylinders, if you like, ahead of the primaries of the NPP.
But Akoto refers to the Agric Minister?
Exactly.
That's interesting.
Exactly. So that's what the Daily Dispatch is saying, Dr. Efri Akoto. It also says Supreme Court's 8 unanimous decisions against Mahama. That major story about the NPP's primaries also there. That's on the back page of the Daily Dispatch newspaper. I think we should delve into the details now and check out the most pertinent stories we've selected for you. Joseph, would you like to start with your end, or should I get into? I see the Efri Akoto story.
Yes,
would you like to get into? It's on the back
12.
Page of the Daily Dispatch newspaper.
Yes, and so a bit of the story. It says there are credible indications that the Minister of Agriculture designates Mr. Dr. Owusu Efri Akoto is likely to join the persons who would contest the primaries of the New Patriotic Party to elect its 2024 flag bearer. Dr. Akoto will be 72 years on October 19, 2021. And it goes on to say that some of the names mentioned as being interested in the NPP's flag bearer slot are Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, who is 58, Mr. Alan Chairmantin, 65, Kennedy Japan, 60 years, Joe Garte, 59, and the others are Dr. Konedo Apreku, who is 65, Boache Jako, 65. And it goes on to say that it's generally believed that unless the NPP handles the issues related to the election of its flag bearer with tact, the party could suffer huge electoral disadvantage. And so that is the story there. I was just a bit surprised. I've never, thought of, I've heard about Dr. Efri Akoto being interested in the presidency. So that's why I was surprised about that story. But I agree with the writer of the story here that it's always when you're a party in power and you don't manage it properly, they'll end up having the 2008 situation where you had a lot of the government appointees coming in. I'm not too sure whether that is the reason why Mr. Gante didn't make it into the current government. I thought he was...
Well, he breathed any, inkling of wanting to contest, and immediately after that, he was axed from the list. Well, I don't know whether he was axed or it had been, should I say predetermined? Now, that's quite a word that has developed some notoriety, but obviously not in the mix anymore. And here are people now, at least once you've been handed your portfolio or been given the assent of the president, then I guess some of these matters will come up. We'll see with time how exactly that pans out. Do you want to do any other story?
No, so I think there was one about vaccine side effects.
Yes, so I might have to look for that one. I think page 18 of the Ghanaian Times newspaper. It talks about mixed reactions greeting the COVID-19 vaccine. And as the first batch of Ghana's coronavirus disease vaccines are set to arrive in the country this week, a cross-section of Ghanaians have expressed mixed reactions about whether or not to take the vaccine. According to them, the conflicting messages on social media on the side effects of the vaccine had made them skeptical about its efficacy. Others also suggested that government concentrate and accept local medicines, that is the herbal remedies, being proposed by some herbal practitioners in the country rather than going in for the vaccine without the country having any knowledge about it. So this creates quite a number of problems. Now, one thing for certain, in AM Business today, we're getting into this entity Viamo, which is trying to disabuse the minds of people when it comes to the vaccination, vaccines, and all of that, especially tied to fake news on social media. Because nowadays you go there, a lot of people send me stuff. Sometimes people you expect to know better. And then you now have to sit them down and say, no, this thing about Africans being targeted to be wiped off the planet and all of that, these are just, what's the name for those?
Yeah, they are conspiracy theories.
Conspiracy theories and all of that. And these are the facts. Go and read from. And people are getting these things from unreliable sources and they are passing them on. And the gullible, people who don't know any better, are consuming them and digging their heels in and saying, no, we won't take it. And that only creates problems because, look, if people who should take it don't take it, you who have taken it, you might be safe, but a lot of other people will be exposed. Now, another danger is this. We're taking the first shots. It will take time to get the second shots. You do this, maybe the first shot is not, because you need both shots of the AstraZeneca, vaccine to be pretty safe, if you want to put it that way. It means that if we don't encourage other people as well to take it, we are all at risk. We'll not achieve the sort of herd immunity that Israel is now, gearing towards. So it's a big problem, big problem. And the herbal remedies, I was speaking to Dr. Dwedu of UHAS the other day, and he said, look, orthodox medicines, yes, herbal remedies, also good, but they are more dangerous, especially because of how they are packaged or presented here. So stick to this. There have been those who have said the herbal remedies are good. Recently, Archbishop Kalenda of Cameroon did say that, but let's approach with caution, else you might end up killing yourself for no reason. Any other stories? And maybe one more, and then we shall check what's going on online. Akabli?
The story about the Council of State taking off is on page 16 of the Daily Graphic. And Nana Otuo-Siribor, the Dwabinhene, has been elected once again as the chairman of the Council of State. You know, once the president swore them in, they had their first meeting, then they decided who would lead them. But the story here says the president is asking for honest, truthful advice. And the president, Nana Akufo-Addo, has sworn in members of the 8th Council of State with a charge for them to offer honest advice to deepen democracy and help advance the development of the country. He administered the oath of allegiance and the oath of membership of the council and the oath of secrecy to the 31-member council. And worthy of mention, E.T. Mensah, former MP for Ningo Pram, is one of the individuals.
Unfortunately, Ras didn't make it.
Yes,
I think he actually didn't get a vote.
He didn't get a vote, yes. E.T. Mensah, on the other hand, got all votes.
All the votes, 100% of the
Accra
votes.
region. Yeah, and the story continues about Otuo-Siribor, a re-elected chairman. He's the Manheni of Asante Dwabin, Nana Otuo-Siribor, the second elected. I've always held the view that if there can be a transparent system where the advice that the council offers, we get to see what it is. I mean, because a lot of people tend to say that we don't know what kind of work they do directly. So it will be important if, especially on national issues, if maybe not necessarily the full, but if there could be at least an executive summary of a sort that communicates what the council's advice are on major issues, I think it will help.
You know, per the Constitution, the president is bound to constitute this council, but he is not bound to,
there was a matter that actually
or their
came up
advice.
The Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court actually said that that is the case. The advice he need, if there is a requirement that he consults, he has to consult. But if the advice is to the contrary, there's nothing that's.
I'll set you up. You can advise me, but whether I'll take the advice.
I'll just say, look, I've heard the advice. I'll do it otherwise.
So we're going to, as and when, they are ready, when these vaccines hit, our airport and the officials are there to take them, we shall connect and find out what exactly is happening. In the interim, though, we'll bring you sports at this juncture. It's a wrap for the AM News Review. Do stay.